Hi guys, Jeff here from JMax Kitchen, and we're going to make something special today. We are going to do chicharrones. Now the chicharron is fried pig skin, which is absolutely fantastic. So what you need to do is you get yourself a pork belly, and the pork belly is going to look like this. And I actually got lucky because the butcher had one where I didn't have to get the whole slab of pork belly and then trim it down. But he trimmed it down pretty close to where it doesn't have a lot of meat on it. So the first step that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put this in boiling water. This way the meat becomes tender so that we can get it off and get a clean skin. So all you're going to do for there is you're going to take the pig skin. You're going to get yourself a nice rolling boil of water, and then the pig skin is just going to slide right in. Now you're going to let this cook for probably a good hour, hour and a half, because you want the skin to become tender and you want the meat to be tender so that you're able to scrape the meat. So once this is cooked, we will come back and show you how to do the next step. Alright, so as you can see, we've been cooking now for roughly about 45 minutes. And then the way that you tell that it's done is that if you take a butter knife and right through the skin, you're just going to push in, and if it goes all the way through, you know that you're done. You can see it's going all the way through. So we are done. So the next step is we're going to take this out of the boiling water and we're going to put it into an ice bath so that we can stop the cooking time. So just grab yourself a spatula. Now this is about a 1 pound pork belly that I got. So it's not too terribly big, so it's easy to move around with you can cook it in a smaller pot and just use the spatula to move it around. If you go anything bigger, you're probably going to want to get a pair of tongs or something. And then we're just going to put that into the ice bath to cool it down. And then from there we're going to put it onto the cutting board and start removing the meat and getting it cut up. We've been in the ice bath now for just a few minutes. And it is now cool enough where we can take it out and start getting the meat off. So essentially all you're going to do is you're going to take your knife and you want to just make a cut and then scrape it off the meat, off the fat. And I know that it looks like that there's a lot of fat on here. Like I said before, I got this from the butcher who already had it pre-cut. So the easiest thing to do is just to put it in the oil, put it in the water, and boil it. And then from here we just kind of use the knife, and you can see that the meat is just scraping right off of it. And we're going to do this and take it all the way down to the fat. You can get in there. It looks like that there's and just keep trimming it down until you get all of the, oh, that's still hot. Until you get all of the meat off of the skin. And then with the meat, you can take it and you can use it in for flavoring for anything. I'm going to put that back in the ice bath for a little bit. It's still a little hot. But you can use that meat and you can cut it up and do it with your eggs, or you can do deep fry it, or quick saute it into a stir fry or something like that. But as it cools, just keep working it, peeling it back. Now the object is that you want it soft enough where you can scrape the meat down off of the fat without actually tearing the fat. And you can see we're kind of getting down to the fat layer there. So just kind of keep taking it down, working it. And then eventually you will get down to your fat, which I think we're pretty much, or down to your skin layer, which it looks like, see, here's your skin, There's a little bit of meat still on there. You just continue to scrape. You can see your fat layer, your skin layer there. So just kind of take your knife, work it in there, and get all of the meat off. Alright, so for the most part, you can see top, bottom. There's still a little bit of fat on there, but we got the majority, or there's still a little bit of meat on there, but we got the majority of it off. And for what we're looking to do, it's not going to hurt anything. It's going to be just fine. So now the next step is, while the skin is soft, you do want to cut it into small pieces. So this way, when you dry it, you're going to be able to fry it in the small pieces. Because if you leave it in one big piece, it'll almost be impossible to break up when you're ready to deep fry, because we're going to dehydrate this and it's going to get rock hard. So again, all you're going to do, just take it into small strips, big or as small as you want to go. And we're just going to make nice even cuts. Try and keep them all the same size. And if it tears or you get a hole in it, don't worry about it, because again, we're going to be dehydrating this and then deep frying it once they're all dried out. And if the strips get too long, there's nothing that says that you can't cut them down to make them a little bit easier to use. Now the size of the chips are going to be determined by the size of the skin that you fry. So once you get these cut down, for me, just so that they're a little bit easier to eat when you cook them, we're going to take these strips and then just cut them into small sections. So then this way, when we fry it, they're a little bit easier to eat. And then once you've got everything cut down, which we will have here in just a minute, our next step is going to be to put these on a sheet tray so that they will dry out. So now that we've got everything all cut down, a couple more here that we missed. And you can see this process here goes really fast. Alright, so I think we got everything all cut up now. So the next step, we're going to grab ourselves a sheet pan. Grab yourself some aluminum foil. And you're going to line the pan with aluminum foil. Next step, you're going to take the skins, and we're going to put the skins on the sheet pan. And I know my sheet pan's a little bit bigger than what I had, but like I said, I only had a pound of the skin, so this will make for a nice serving. And once the skins are on the pan, you're just going to hit them with a little bit of salt. The salt is going to help draw out the water, so when you're drying, plus it's going to add a little bit of flavor. And at this point too, if you wanted to, you can season the skins, so then this way when they're ready to go into the fryer, they just have that much more flavor to it. So we're going to put some salt on here. And then I think just because we're being a little bit dangerous today, we're going to add a little bit of chipotle seasoning. And not a lot, just a pinch, because we don't want to overpower it. Like so. And then we're going to put a little bit of onion powder on there. Like so. A little bit of garlic. And not a lot, just a sprinkle here and there. This way that as they start to dry out, everything will season up. And then just because we like to smoke, we are going to use the smoked paprika to give it a little bit of a smoky flavor. Perfect. So again, toss it all up. Make sure that everything is well coated, well seasoned. And now the next step, just kind of spread them out on the plate, on the tray. Make sure you've got a nice even layer. And then we are going to let this sit for about an hour or two to give it a chance to start to dry. These have been sitting for about an hour and you can see that they're starting to dry out nicely. So the next thing you want to do is you want to preheat your oven to the lowest setting that it can go. Mine goes at about 200 degrees, and we're going to put these into the oven, and they're going to stay in there for just about 8 hours because we want to completely dehydrate them. We don't want to cook them. So I usually check after about 6 hours. They should go about 8 hours to be completely done. So it's been roughly 8 hours, and we're going into the oven to see what we look like. And it looks like we are pretty well done with the oven. As you can see here, we're all nice and dried, nice and brittle. So now we're going to let these cool, and then we can pop them into some grease and see how they come out. Considering the fact that I had to work this morning, these were in the oven for about 8 hours, and then I left them out for another 8 hours so that they got nice and dry. And then what we did is we took some oil and we heated it up to about 400 degrees. And now what we do is we take the skins and dump them in the oil. And as these cook, they're going to puff up. And give us some beautiful pork skins. Look at how gorgeous those look. And we're going to let them sit here in the oil for just a few minutes to get some color. They pop up just like popcorn. And once they're done and you hear all the popping stopping, I'm going to give them a good stir one more time. And then we're going to transfer these just onto a plate. Then we're going to turn our oil off. And then just like with any good popcorn, it's going to need a good amount of salt. And you want to salt them while they're hot. Toss them. And then we're going to grab a clean plate just to get them out of that oil. Onto a cleaner plate. And then from here we just let them cool. Right, it's been about 15 minutes. And here are our pork rinds. Absolutely beautiful. Puffed up exactly the way that they were supposed to. Nice and salty. And if you can listen, good and crunchy. So next time you're looking for a quick or a good snack that's going to be very good for you, definitely try these out. Thank you for joining us at J-Max Kitchen, and always remember, treat friends like family, and it's always okay to play with your food.